Dali is probably the most famous of the surrealist artists, and he brought surrealist exploration of the human psyche and dreams to new heights. Often he's known for his exploration of the erotic in terms of his dreams and his imagery. There's always an erotic element to it. And he wanted to materialize the images of irrationality, which is a fancy way of saying he wants to make concrete the dreams and images that he sees in his unconscious. So with that in mind, let's look at one of his most famous pieces, The Persistence of Memory, or The Melting Clocks. Not that The Melting Clocks is its title, but that tends to be what this piece is known for. Now, in the piece, we see an amorphous creature, which sleeps under a formless pocket watch. Other watches seem to melt as if they were degrading remains of organic life. And we see a haunting allegory of empty space where time seems to stand still, or time maybe has ended somehow. And then we have this form, which is kind of an odd, sometimes known as an anamorphic creature or an amorphous creature. And it has been interpreted in the past as female genitalia. So take that as you will, he always has this erotic dimension to it. One could argue that the soft, flat, flaccid watches are serving much the same purpose. So as we look at it, every detail is rendered as realistically as possible. This is to give it a concrete form, to lend a believability to the scene, to make the unseen not only seen, but believable. And so when we look at it, we have this background that's actually very realistic. As we look at the mountains in the background over here, or the water, or even the sky, this is all very realistic in form. We have a sense of atmospheric perspective to the ground as it moves forward. Then we have things getting a little bit odd when we move up to the foreground. We have a diving board, or what appears to be some kind of diving board, as if maybe this is a dive into the afterlife or a dive into some other dimension. We have the various clocks, and you'll notice they always melt over a form. Of course, a melted clock such as this pocket watch here isn't going to give away the idea of being melted when it's laying flat in the first place. Although here we get this odd shadow that has developed around it when every other shadow seems relatively realistic. And this amorphous creature has what appear to be eyebrows and eyes. Now, it's a little tricky to deal with, but we also get the sense of hips, as if it's a female form laying on its side, minus all of the other elements that we would expect in the female form. What is going on? We don't know. This is open to our interpretation once again, and that's intentional. He wants us to walk in and see his dream. By calling it Persistence of Memory, he's given it a very open title. This is very unlike Ernst, where it was very straightforward, very concrete. The persistence of memory could be anything. It could be a childhood memory. It could be talking to dementia. It could be talking to any number of different ideas. And so what you do as the viewer is you come in with a certain context. You're coming in with an understanding in your mind, or a mood, an emotion. You've all been there. You go do something exciting or something that should be exciting. You're just not in the mood that day, and it kind of impacts on how you see it. Same thing here. If you're already angry, you're going to see it in those terms. If you are going through a breakup, you're going to see it in those terms. Or if you're happy, you're going to see it in those terms. But all of us are going to interpret it a little differently. And that's important to understand. We are beyond the point where artists are trying to get across a singular meaning. We are well beyond the classical forms leading up to the 20th century. We are now into a whole new world where the viewer has to take an active role in interpretation.